Welcome to Practically Tactical on Target, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. Practically Tactical on Target is a show dedicated to sharing with you some of the best products or services in the firearms industry. Don't forget you can listen to the Practically Tactical show here on the Firearms Radio Network as well. New episodes drop every Sunday at noon Central Standard Time. Features some of those well-known figures in the firearms industry. For more information on Practically Tactical and on Target, please visit practicalpodcast.com. On this episode, we're talking from Brannon from NOLATAC about the M3T and the ITK. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, man.
So before we get into it here, where can people find you on online and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff?
Just Google me, bro. No, right. You pretty much Google NOLATAC and it'll bring up most of our stuff. Of course, we have a website, NOLATAC.com, Facebook under NOLATAC, Instagram, all the cool stuff.
All right, and he has a YouTube channel as well, so be sure to check that out as well. I'll put all the links in the show notes so you guys can check it out at practicalpodcast.com. So I'm going to share with you guys kind of how I learned of NOLATAC here, the M3T. Specifically was Sam from Range Time has been on the show, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And one of our shows we had with Jeff Bluvman, we had kind of a dedicated light and medical gear show. I can't remember the exact episode off the top of my head. But basically, we kind of went into that, and during our gear segment, he talked about the M3T and absolutely loved it. And you kind of mirrored the same line that Sam said, is basically if you have the ability to cause trauma or to inflict trauma, you basically also need to be able to take care of it or heal it, or Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Sam stole that from me. I have my attorneys looking into it.
Oh, you can never trust that Sam.
That's Sam, yeah.
Basically, in your video, which I shared on our Facebook page, and people can check that out at facebook.com/practicallytactical, is basically your video states like, if you can cause trauma, you have the moral responsibility to be able to save a life. And I think that is absolutely true, and I think the medical aspect is really, really overlooked by individuals. We'll call it the tactical type of stuff that's going on the internet, and everybody's kind of getting all up there, is nobody really talks about the medical aspect. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, it's not, to put quite bluntly, it's not as fun, it's not as sexy as going out and shooting. It's not as gear intensive, so you can't roll out all your multicam and your FN scar and your newest optic and all that stuff and show. It's really the down and dirty meat and potatoes of what you need to know. There's not a lot of flair when it comes to medical stuff.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the products here, can you kind of give a little background and history and kind of what you do right now before we hop into the product? Because I think that plays kind of an important part in it.
Yeah, I do actually a little bit of everything, but my core thing that I do is I've been a firearms instructor for probably over 16, 17 years now. Law enforcement, military, contract, and all that stuff. And I also now own my own indoor shooting range that we utilize as a training center as well as an indoor shooting range and gun store. So that kind of creates some unique opportunities to broaden some stuff. What kind of got me involved, and that's kind of what led me actually to the medical stuff. I had an individual who was doing some work for our state attorney general, and he was approached with some stuff that was a little bit out of the scope of his knowledge. So he reached out to me and said, hey man, can you help me out with this? And essentially what it was the state attorney general said, hey, look, this was right after Sandy Hook. Said, look, we want to redo the way we handle everything in schools, everything from bomb threats to bullying to active shooters to chemical spills, whatever. So he wanted him to rewrite kind of that manual, what they call the all-hazard response, and he wanted to bring me in to help him on some of the components of it. And we kind of had not a blank check per se, but it was kind of going to follow our direction to a great extent. So I looked at it, and he was a law enforcement officer and a shooter, someone who kind of had the right mindset. And I was like, man, this is a phenomenal opportunity. Like, we can really push some things that are going to make some big changes. And heck, if we get 20% of what we asked for, we've done great. So one of those things was trauma response in schools. Schools are great at patting kids on the head, putting band-aids on their knees, but the ugly and dirty reality is when a kid gets shot in the chest. Schools do not have the equipment and the knowledge to deal with those types of things. And knowing the kind of paradigm of how we respond to those things in this country, it's what I call an outside-in response, meaning all resources and assets come from outside the scene into the scene. The problem is as soon as it goes down, law enforcement creates a perimeter on the scene and will not allow any of those assets or resources to come in, and rightfully so to a degree, because they haven't cleared the scene and they don't want to create more casualties. So we were trying to figure out a way. You've probably heard time is life, and when someone's bleeding out, that's very true. And what we see is when it comes to people dying in active shooting events, it has to do with time. They're bleeding out. They're either instantly dead when they get shot or they bleed out. No, kids aren't dying from tension pneumothorax in a school. So we tried to come up with a little bit of shift in doing that, and we realized we needed to put the knowledge and the tools inside the school, inside the scene, so that when a scene gets locked down, it doesn't matter. People are already working inside. And that kind of led to an MOU, or a memorandum of understanding type concept, where these kits would be, and this is, I completely stole the concept from what I learned overseas, whereas any mass casualty or mass collection point, the cafeteria, the gym, any place where more than a handful of guys are going to be, there was a mass casualty trauma kit. And I kind of took that model and brought that into the school, figuring cafeteria, library, gym, school office, all those places need to have mass casualties kits. And then in every single classroom needs to be some type of equipment to handle those types of traumas, at least a couple of them. Because once it goes on lockdown, if it's not in that room with you, you don't have it. So working on the school medical concept, I kind of figured, all right, well, most of my time and effort spent on the firearms side of the house. If I'm going to start working in medical stuff, I just as soon come out with some type of IFAC type thing. But I looked around, and I'm kind of one of those people. I'm trying to be friends with as many people as I can in the industry, and there's some great medical kits out there, and I don't want to just throw another one out there. So I kind of started the other way around and built the pouch first to see what could we do that was different, that would actually offer something of value. And then it became kind of a philosophy of, well, if you sell flashlights, you probably should sell batteries too. So when we realized we had a good pouch that people really liked and was really value added, then we took that same philosophy and figured, okay, how can we get medical equipment into the hands of as many people as possible through price and through structure, because there's some medical components that some of us would consider critical that because of policy or procedure people aren't allowed to carry, like decompression needles and things like that. So anyway, we put it all together, and we ended up with the M3T, the multi-mission medical taco that we have high-speed gear built for us. I've had a long relationship with high-speed gear. And then we have H&H associates working with us that are packaging and helped us kind of get the kit exactly where we wanted it, so that those two things work phenomenal together, but they each independently stand on their own, where the kit will work in pretty much any similar pouch, and the pouch will fit almost any similar kit. So that's the long-winded version.
And for those that aren't familiar with high-speed gear, check them out. I mean, they're one of the by far top manufacturers of chest rigs and any type of gear related to that. Make some high quality, excellent type of stuff. And I think it's highspeedgear.com is their website. Could be wrong on that, but check that out. I mean, they make some quality stuff. So basically, your M3T is the multi-mission medical taco.
Correct. That was made to kind of because I partnered with High Speed Gear. What most people know, High Speed Gear, or HSGI, as they're kind of commonly known in the industry, is through their taco magazine pouch. Which calling it a magazine pouch is kind of selling it short, because you pretty much shove anything into it. But it's a compression design type magazine pouch. It's initial intent. So I kind of already had an idea of what I wanted this pouch to be like. And then I partnered with, at the time, Gene Higdon was still associated with HSGI. So we sat together and kind of masterminded this thing. And once I realized that the proof of concept would work, then we just kind of aesthetically and a little bit of functionality changed it up so that it kind of fit into their entire taco line of products. And I thought kind of M3T kind of made sense.
Yeah. So to make sure we explain, so M3T is the actual pouch itself.
Correct. That's the pouch that the kit goes into.
Okay, and then the ITK is the actual full-blown
individual trauma kit. ITK trauma kit. That's the medical components that would go into it.
Okay, so the ITK has the M3T with all the components, correct?
The ITK and the M3T are two different things. You can get them independently, and that's one of the cool things, because the way that M3T works is it has these internal, what I call med sleds, which are these two opposing kind of pouches. And if you go on our website, or actually go to our store and look at it, you can see the product pics. But these two things kind of fit together to create this pouch that the actual kit is designed to slide into. But if you don't want to use this kit, perhaps you want to make your own, you can just cram the stuff in there and compress it all together, and it functions exactly the same. Or if you like Kerry Davis's Dark Angel kit, or you like Brian's ITS Tall Boy kit, both those kits will fit in that pouch well.
Okay, got it now. So, but obviously, if they buy the M3T, the ITK just goes right in it, and you're pretty much good to rock there.
Yeah, because some people, that's the main thing, is people are they like convenience. So if they can go to one place and get everything they need instead of having to go to 4 different websites, it just kind of makes life a lot easier for them.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing that really stood out to me of watching the videos on the M3T is the one-handed ability of accessing and getting to everything almost anywhere on your body. Can you kind of go into like the design features of the M3T? And I think one-handed is very big because a lot of times you can either you can get hit in your arm or have an arm go down. And I think it's really, really important that basically, I don't want to say an ambi bag. Would that be it? But
well, I mean, it was designed to be pretty much fully ambidextrous. But you're right, and in the context that these types of kits would be used to, in my opinion, you have a much higher probability of having to use one hand, because that probably means you got shot, which probably means you're shooting at someone else, which probably means you have the minimum. Even if you didn't get shot in the arm and you maybe got shot in the leg, you still have a firearm. So if you just got shot in the leg, it means someone's shooting at you. So you're probably going to keep holding that firearm pointed in that general direction. So to the greatest extent possible, you want to be proficient and have your gear set up. Everything's a trade-off, but you want to have your gear set up where you can get the stuff single-handedly. And what we'll see is lots of times guys will put tourniquets, and it kind of, a lot of it centers around a tourniquet, because that entire 180 we've taken with tourniquets. Where I remember when I was in Marine Corps boot camp, if you put a tourniquet on a guy, you not only were you going to kill him, but you were going to kill his mama and his dog just by virtue of putting a tourniquet on him. Now it's boom, that's one of the first things you go to. So knowing that, now we see guys with tourniquets on their rifle stocks, center line of their body. I have some of my kits, some of my belts that separate from anything else I'm carrying. I have 2 independent tourniquets somewhere on either side, because my gear wouldn't allow me to set it up where I could reach it with either hand. So then I put 2. So knowing that, that's kind of why we did it the way we did. Again, to kind of understand how it all goes together, you've got these 2 halves, and whatever you're going to put in it, be it our ITK, another pouch, or something else, it just kind of slips over one side, and the exact same thing slips over the other, and there's plenty of space. So if I wanted to, say, add an extra combat gauze in there or something, I could certainly do that, or whatever. And then you just kind of bring it together and Velcro the end to the end. And this is actually an older model. We have now they have the Velcro further down, so it gives you a lot more expandability. But that would actually come and attach, and it's a nice compact pack. And then you have the M3T, which if you can kind of see inside, it looks a lot like an HSGI Taco. It has the same bungees, the compression fit. And essentially, this thing just slides right up in there, and you just put it in that hole, and just kind of work it over. And then through these D-rings on the side, you can pull it out from either side. So if I have it mounted to my belt, I can reach behind me and rip it left, or I can reach behind me and rip it right. If I'm wearing it vertical, I could rip it up, I could rip it down. And that was one of the other things, was the mounting option. So it has a 2-inch horizontal belt pass-through. So if I wanted to wear it like this, I can run my belt through it, and that's up to including a 2-inch Sam Brown law enforcement duty belt. It also has a 2-inch, which this one's pretty tight, but it'll fit. So if I wanted to run it smaller back horizontally, I could do that. Of course, it has vertical pals, so if I wanted to mount it to something like that. And then we were working with G-Code on a product we were calling the Hovert, which would allow you to take any type of pals and swap its orientation. So if you were to mount this via the pals ladder in the back, you would mount it vertically. Well, once you put that Hovert on it, it allows you to take it and now mount it to that same thing horizontally. Wow. We're still kind of playing with that design, and G-Code just went through a huge build-up, and they moved their building, so they're still kind of getting their legs underneath them. But it's not something we've put down. We're just kind of kind of want to make sure we get it right before we put it out. And then you have the tourniquet pouches, which are pretty cool. You've got one on either side, left or right, or up or down, depending on how you have the pouch oriented. But they've got these tabs on them that you slide your tourniquet in here, so that when you pull it, it kind of pulls that tourniquet out. And you could either have them both set up this way, both set up to pull down. I find that if it's mounted on a belt line, most guys it's going to be kind of hard to chicken wing it and pull it up, especially if you're hurt. So I typically have mine orientated to kind of rip down. That way, even if I'm seated, I can easily let my hand fall and do it. And then it has independent sides. This was one of the kind of things we made at the last minute. It used to pull down from the center as one bungee, like a taco, but it was just very, very difficult to get the tourniquets in. So I broke it down so each side is independently tensioned. So you can carry 2 tourniquets on here if you want. You can carry just one. You can carry a tourniquet, and I've seen guys put chem lights and shears and everything else in here. The main thing is some people like simple kits. Some people like complicated kits. Some people have a philosophy of use that I'm only going to carry what I know how to use, and some people have a philosophy of I'm going to carry everything I can carry, because if I can't use it, maybe the next guy can. And I tend to fall a little more to that side. I'd rather have options I choose not to use than not have options. And that was kind of the main thing I was looking at, is to make it as one size fits all as possible. And so far we've had a great response from it. I mean, people seem to like it. It seems to be working for them. So
I was gonna say it comes in cryptic, so that's cool right there, right?
Yeah, that's automatic. Like, you need to buy one right now just for that.
Now, your ITK, can you go breakdown of what is exactly included in that?
Sure. I apologize. I thought I had grabbed the bag with all the loose components, but what it has in it is it's about the size of 2 AR mags in thickness and in overall footprint. It will fit in some kind of looser built double AR mag pouches, but not most. What it has in it is an H&H thin pressure dressing, 2 H&H compressed gauzes, a H&H dual wound seal kit, which are 2 large chest seals, and they're a pair of gloves, and a packet of Quick Clot EMS. And this was kind of a little bit of what held us up, and I kind of speak to it in the video, but we were going to go with combat gauze. I mean, these are the exact same product. The only difference is that this one has that UV strip, and this comes in 4 yards. This comes in 4 feet. So you're getting less of the product in this. The other thing that a lot of people don't understand is this the trade name combat gauze. This has an NSN. So when they shopped this to the military and it got assigned an NSN, a price point got set, and they can't sell it any cheaper than that. So you're looking at around $30 or $35, depending on where you get it from, for this, like my cost. So I was like, that was one of the things we wanted, was we wanted it to be as accessible to as many people as possible. And the reality is why everyone, you know, gets all moist over hemostatics, and they're great. The reality is we've been using regular gauze for years, and it's been working great. This is something that helps us, not a necessity. So what we want to do is still have that capability, but allow it to be more financially accessible to people. So what we did was we went with the smaller one, which let us drop the price, and you still got this plus 2 packs of rolled gauze. So you still got twice as much gauze as you'd have in most kits anyway. And once you take a trauma class and you understand how to actually pack a wound, you will see that in most cases, and I'm not talking about an IED explosion in Afghanistan, but when most people who purchase this kit would encounter a gunshot wound, a major laceration, something like that, this is going to be more than enough to help you stop the bleeding, and then go back in and pack it with regular gauze and you know, do what you're supposed to do. But that's why it's important to understand it. Just, I don't care how many of these you buy from me, buy as many as you want, but it's just a thing. You have to understand how to use it, and that's where the training element comes in.
Okay. And then what's the price point on the M3T?
The M3T is retails for $75, and then the ITK retails for, you made me lie to you, $84.99, I believe. The thing I do want to point out though about the ITK is you'll often hear when people talk about trauma kits that it's meant to address the big 3, which are major hemorrhaging, blood loss, tension pneumothorax, and obstructed airway. And technically, we don't address all those, and the reason for that is, like I said, we don't include a needle, and we don't include an MPA and lube, because these are 2 main things that particularly law enforcement agencies won't let their guys carry. But of course, we sell them, and this is at such a low price point that if you want to get this and add it to it, the pouch absolutely fits it. It works great. And if you don't want to carry it, or something all of a sudden policy won't allow you to carry it, you just take it out, and you still have your kit. So that's kind of that buildability. And same thing, if you've got your heart set and you just absolutely love and live and die by combat gauze, there's plenty of room in that pouch to supplement the kit with whatever you want to supplement it with.
Okay, so you can pretty much fit everything in there. It sounds like
everything that you need, and hopefully nothing you don't.
Yeah, and in a compact size that looks great and it's easily accessible.
It's encrypted. It's good.
That's right. So, and real quick here, because it's something we've hit on the show a lot, and we can check out Practically Tactical. I can't remember which. It's with Sam and Jeff, but we have a dedicated light and medic stuff to the, as you talked about, unsexy things in the tactical world that are critically important. But real quick here, can you tell people, if hopefully we've intrigued them and are going to go want to look for medical training. When people go out and look for some, can you maybe give them some tips or pointers as to what classes they should look for, or try to point them in the right direction in regards to medical training? And obviously you offer it as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we don't have any classes on the books right now just because of other business stuff we have going on. But honestly, the first place I would say to look for any type of trauma medicine in relation to what we do would be Kerry Davis with Dark Angel Medical. I mean, I have not heard I haven't had the privilege to attend one of his classes yet just because of scheduling, but he every account puts on a phenomenal course. I know Corey and Erica just recently did their first. They've got a medic that's working with them now that just did a class. I sent some kits down there for them to try out. The AAR looks good. I mean, we'll wait and see kind of what the reports are, but I have every reason to believe that would be a pretty good course. Also, Lee Vernon out at right around the Dallas area in Texas with combative weapon systems. He does a lot of medical stuff as well. In fact, he and I did a medical shooter course last year, towards the end of last year. So we'll be doing that again in November. And that was fun. There was some simulation, some force-on-force training and stuff like that. But definitely Kerry. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else does it. Kerry does it through his own company, and I think also through SIG Academy. And then it's becoming more popular. I think people are starting to get it. It's still probably one of the hardest from a business sense. It's one of the hardest classes to fill. And you would think it wouldn't be because with the price and availability of ammunition, you think people would say, well, let me use this time to train other things. But another thing is I think a lot of people think they already know it, but they don't because they took like a Red Cross CPR class or something. But they don't realize that this is a completely different skill set.
Yeah. Doing CPR on a person who has blood spurting out of their leg, probably not going to be the best thing. Changes
the game a little bit.
Well, hopefully we've sparked a bunch of interest in people to go out and buy this. Where should they go if they want to buy it?
The easiest place would be the ITK right now is only available directly through NOLATAC, and you can just search, again, Google NOLATAC ITK or go directly to our store, NOLATACstore.com, NOLATAC store.com, and you can get, the only thing I don't carry the prints in stock that you'd have to get that directly from HSGI. But Black, Coyote, OD, I'm sorry, and Multicam, I do have. I don't have any of the Cryptex or anything. And then we have the I2Ks, and you can, of course, add the decompression needle and the NPA and lube if you want to add that as well.
Okay. Well, awesome. So thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it. I think it's an absolute awesome product that everybody should have. It's definitely one of those things that you can just take it and at least throw it in your vehicle, throw it in your range bag, and always carry it with you. And I think that's really important to have. So I appreciate you coming on and talking about it with us.
No problem. Bring me on one time when Sam's on so I can mess with him.
Will do. So for all of our listeners out there, do you know of another company that's making awesome products like NOLATAC? If so, and you think they should be on the show, email me at nick@firearmsradio.tv with your suggestion. And always, guys, please check out NOLATAC. Go like their Facebook page. Go check them out on Instagram. Go check out their store. Go check out the M3T and the ITK. So until next time, Brannon, thanks for coming on again, man. I greatly appreciate it. And for all you listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.